Ethan never expected his life to end so soon. One moment, he was going about his daily routine. The next, he was standing on the edge of eternity. In his final moments, he encountered Jesus, who revealed something powerful, 3 words that held the key to transformation, healing, and unlocking impossible doors. What Jesus told him was unlike anything he had ever heard before. This is Ethan's incredible near-death experience, and the message he brought back will change how you see life forever. Ethan had always lived cautiously, never expecting that his life would take a sudden, tragic turn. It was an ordinary evening when everything changed. While driving home, a bright set of headlights appeared out of nowhere, speeding directly toward him. The impact was instant. A loud crash, metal twisting, and then, nothing. He felt his consciousness slipping away, but instead of darkness, there was something else. A strange, weightless sensation took over, as if he had been pulled out of his body. Ethan saw the wreckage of his own car below, the flashing lights of an ambulance, and paramedics rushing to save him. But he wasn't there anymore. He was somewhere else, somewhere beyond this world. At first, everything was silent. No pain, no fear, just stillness. Then, in the distance, he saw a brilliant light, radiating warmth and peace. It wasn't just light, it was alive. Drawn toward it, Ethan felt an overwhelming presence, filled with love and authority. As he moved closer, he saw a figure standing at the center of the light. It was Jesus. The sight of him was unlike anything Ethan had ever imagined. His presence was powerful yet comforting. Ethan felt exposed, as if every thought, every mistake, and every regret were laid bare before him. But there was no condemnation, only understanding. Jesus looked at him, and in that moment, Ethan knew he was in the presence of absolute truth. Without a single word, Ethan's life began to unfold before him. It wasn't just a replay of memories, it was as if he was reliving them from a new perspective. He saw moments he had long forgotten, small choices that had led him to where he was. Every word spoken, every action taken, every opportunity missed, it was all there. But what shocked him the most was the realization that many of the things he had worried about in life were insignificant. The moments of love, kindness, and faith mattered far more than the successes, the failures, or the struggles he had obsessed over. He had spent so much time chasing after things that didn't truly matter, missing the deeper purpose behind them. Then, Jesus spoke for the first time. His voice was both gentle and firm, "You were never alone." Those words pierced Ethan's soul. He had spent years feeling like he had to figure everything out on his own. But now, he realized that God had been guiding him all along, even in the moments when he thought he was silent. Jesus then showed Ethan something even more astonishing. He was taken to a vast hallway filled with doors, some open, some shut. Ethan instinctively understood that these doors represented the opportunities, paths, and blessings in his life. Some doors had been closed by circumstances beyond his control, while others had been shut because of his own doubts, fears, and lack of faith. Then Jesus said, "Many doors were never locked. You only believed they were." Ethan was stunned. How many times had he given up too soon? How often had he accepted defeat when he was only a step away from breakthrough? He had walked away from open doors, not because they were truly closed, but because he lacked faith to push forward. Jesus then stepped closer, looking into Ethan's eyes with deep intensity. "Ethan, if you want to walk through the doors that I have set before you, you must speak faith into your life. Say these words, and watch what happens." Then, Jesus spoke the 3 words that changed everything. "It is possible." Ethan felt a surge of power as those words resonated through him. He repeated them softly at first, then louder. Each time he spoke them, he felt stronger, more certain. Jesus explained, "Many do not receive what is meant for them because they declare defeat before they even try. When you believe in my power, the impossible becomes possible." Ethan realized then that faith wasn't just about believing in God, it was about believing that God could work in his life. Every time he had doubted, every time he had spoken negativity over his situation, he had unknowingly locked doors that were meant to be opened. As Ethan repeated those words, the closed doors around him began to shift. Some that had been shut tight started to creak open. Others disappeared entirely, revealing paths he had never even considered. He could feel the power of those words changing everything. It is possible. Suddenly, he saw moments from his own life where he had given up too soon, times when he had walked away from dreams, relationships, and opportunities because he thought they weren't meant for him. But now he understood. The closed doors had never been permanent. The moment he aligned his faith with God's power, everything began to change. Ethan turned to Jesus, overwhelmed by everything he had seen and learned. "What happens now?" he asked. Jesus smiled gently. "Your time here is not yet finished. You must return." Ethan hesitated. He had never felt such peace before. But deep down, he knew, he had been given this revelation for a reason. There were people he needed to share it with. There were doors waiting to be opened. Jesus extended his hand, and the moment Ethan touched it, everything went dark. Ethan gasped as his eyes flew open. A sharp pain shot through his chest as he sucked in a desperate breath. The sound of medical machines beeping filled the room. Bright fluorescent lights above him stung his eyes. Nurses rushed in, their faces a mixture of shock and relief. "You were gone for several minutes," one of them said, barely able to believe what she was witnessing. Ethan could feel the weight of his experience pressing on his soul. The last thing he recalled was standing before Jesus, hearing those 3 words, "It is possible." But now, he was back. He wasn't the same person who had left. He had seen the reality beyond this world, and he knew he had a mission. The doctor entered, shaking his head in disbelief. "You shouldn't be here," he muttered. "Your heart stopped. There was nothing we could do." Ethan knew the truth. There was something much greater at work. He had been sent back for a reason. He looked at the doctor, his voice steady and sure. "It is possible," he whispered. And as soon as he said it, something inside him shifted. He wasn't just speaking words, he was speaking life into reality. Ethan couldn't keep his experience to himself. The moment he was strong enough to sit up, he started telling people what had happened. The medical staff listened in stunned silence as he described meeting Jesus, the hallway of doors, and the power of those 3 words. At first, some were skeptical. But as Ethan spoke, something changed in the room. A nurse broke down in tears, admitting she had been praying for a sign. A young intern, who had been doubting his faith, whispered, "This is what I needed to hear." News of Ethan's story spread beyond the hospital walls. People began to reach out, asking how 3 simple words could have such power. Ethan explained that faith wasn't just believing in God, it was believing that God could move in your life. He encouraged them to say it out loud, "It is possible." A woman struggling with her finances repeated it, and within days, she received an unexpected job offer. A man battling addiction held on to those words, and for the first time in years, he felt strong enough to fight back. Ethan watched as lives changed before his eyes, not because of his story, but because of what Jesus had revealed to him. Ethan began to see these words as a key, one that unlocked what people thought was impossible. He started visiting churches, hospitals, and even strangers on the street, telling them about the words Jesus had given him. Some laughed, but others listened. And for those who truly believed, miracles began to unfold. A man who had been on the verge of divorce chose to fight for his marriage, repeating, "It is possible." Months later, he and his wife stood together, stronger than ever. A woman who had suffered from chronic illness for years whispered the words in prayer. The next time she went for a checkup, the doctors found no trace of her disease. Ethan realized that this message wasn't just for him, it was for everyone. The words weren't magic, but they carried faith. And when spoken with belief, they aligned with God's power to open doors no one thought could move. One night, as Ethan prayed, he asked God why those 3 words were so powerful. He expected a long, complex answer. But instead, he felt a deep peace and a simple truth settle in his heart. Because faith moves mountains. Jesus had told his disciples that if they had faith the size of a mustard seed, they could tell a mountain to move, and it would. But most people never spoke their faith into existence. They let doubt take over. They accepted closed doors as permanent. They stopped believing in miracles. Ethan had been given a second chance, not just to live, but to share this truth. And now, he was giving it to others. No matter what you're facing today, it is possible. The doors you think are closed, they can open. The challenges that seem too big, they can be overcome. The prayers that feel unanswered, they are being heard. Speak it. Believe it. Watch God move. Ethan's experience is a reminder that faith is not just a thought, it's a force that changes everything. Jesus showed him that when we speak faith into our lives, miracles happen. Doors open. Battles are won. If you've ever felt like giving up, recall these 3 words: it is possible. Say them. Live them. And see what happens. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more powerful testimonies and near-death experiences. There's so much more to discover.